Hi, this is Christina Whistler. Um, Today I am here to discuss the Salem Witch Trials, which some of it people have um, already know, but some people might not know. Um, I also am an author. My books are on Amazon: Lola Rising, Summer's Awakening, and Summer's Sacrifice. They are all a part of a series. Um, and that's all I'm going to say about that because this video is not for that. Okay. Before I go into it, I do not know everything. This is a disclaimer. I don't. I do not know everything about it. I only know what I know and whatever I researched to back up what I know. Um, so here we go. Um, okay. The Salem Witch Trials, as they're typically presented, and I'm not used to reading. Excuse me, my allergies are bothering me. And there's a clump of sheet on my dresser, so don't. Ugh, it's a mess. I'm cleaning this room, so I'm going through stuff and getting rid of it. But I digress. Let's get to it. The Salem Witch Trials, as they're typically presented, a moment of mass hysteria in Puritan New England, are too often stripped of their deeper roots. The spectacle of accusations, confessions, and execution is turned into a morality play about reason versus superstition. But excuse me, if we look within the academic eyes, if we look with the knowing of the witch herself, we find something much older, much more tangled, and far less resolved. Um, the surface story is well documented between 1692 and 1693. The colonial Massachusetts, more than 200 people were accused of witchcraft. 19 hanged, and one, Giles Corey, was pressed to death with stones. The official cause tend to have to hover around Puritan extremists, mass hysteria, and ergot poisoning. Theory of infected rye. But none of these hold the heart of it. Let's go deeper. Ask what happens when the land is stolen and the stories survived. What festers in a theocratic colony built on unseized um, Algonquarian, I hope I said that right, land under the guise of divine mission. Uh, okay. Colonial anxiety, and the collapse of power. The 1690s were not mere a time of religious favor, f- fervor. Okay, I know the word and I've said it many times, but I can't get it out of my mouth. So I think it's fever. They were also a time of economic instability, war, trauma, and deep social fragmentation. The Puritans settled, and this I have all written down. So yes, I am reading it because I don't want to forget anything. The Puritan settlers were facing a world that defied their theology. Native resistance, King Philip's War had ended just decades before. Harsh winters, failed crops, and political upheaval after the overthrow of the Massachusetts Bay Colony's charter. In the chaos, the rigid hierarchy, men over women, adults over children, church over individuals, began to tremble. The old covenant with God's with God appeared broken, and in every crumbling older a scapegoat must be found. I got to sneeze in there. It's going to come out sooner or later. But but whom do you burn when your God has gone silent? Misogyny as law and spectacle. Witchcraft accusations were not just about spiritual purity. They were about disciplining female anatomy, particularly among those inconvenient who were inconvenient, land-owning widows or outspoken. Many of the accused were women who defied domestic expectations. Tituba, the enslaved Arawak, Arawak woman, Sarah Good, a homeless beggar, Bridget Bishop, who wore red and ran a tavern. Excuse me. These were women who did not fit the mold of godly womanhood. They were economically marginal, sexually suspect, or socially unruly, and many held knowledge that frightened colonial men. Midwifery, herbalism, storytelling, dreams. So ask what knowledge was burned with them. We're almost done, I promise. The land speaks, erase indigenous presence. This land, where Salem stands, was once stewarded by the Nayok and other Algonquins, indigenous people. I'm not going to even try to pronounce those words. Okay. The Puritans did not merely displace them, they buried their sacred sites under churches and gallows. In many indigenous cosmologies, illness and imbalance come from failure to maintain right relationships with land and spirits. Could it be that the pure could it be that what the Puritans named witchcraft was the consequence of severance, a sickness born of broken covenant, not with God, but with the land itself? Perhaps the spirits of the place no longer honored their stewards slaughtered, began to hunt the children. Want the children, not hunt. Oh my God. Perhaps what the girls saw were not visions of Satan, but ancestral memories, land madness, the psychic cause of genocide. What might, I lost my spot. Okay. What might be revealed if we treated those afflictions not as mass delusion, but as spiritual reckonings? Tituba, the forgotten witch mother. And then there is Tituba, the first accused, the first to confess. She is often sidelined. Sorry, guys. She is awful sidelined, reduced to a servant who dabbled in voodoo. But her roots may trace to the Arawak of South America, to the Yoruba lineage of West Africa. In her mouth, witchcraft was not a Puritan heresy, but a living ancestral cosmology. Rituals, omens, familiars, full of bones, feathers, and blood. Her confession her confession was a surrender. Her confession was not a surrender. It was a story, part survival, part spell. She named the devil as a man from Boston, dressed in black. What if she was speaking of colonizers? What if her story was a critique of white male power in a tongue no one wanted to understand? The Salem Witch Trials were not just an outburst of Puritan paranoia. They were the cultural expressions of a deeper wound. People unrooted, terrified by the phenomenon. Can't pronounce that word either. Never could. Divorced from the land and shadowed by the memory of the violence they themselves had endured. So ask yourself, what does a culture do when it forgets how to grieve? What ancestral knowledge was lost in the fire? What spirits were silenced under the name of the order? and what echoes still live in our own legal and cultural trials of the unruly feminine today. If you are called by this, go to a place where women were buried with their hands bound. Go barefoot. Listen to the wind over the fields. And remember, the witches, uh, the witch is never who they say she is. And that is today's lesson. Please like, share, subscribe. I'm happy here. I next thing I'm going to be doing is probably some more shorts, and also um, I'm going to be submitting to Smooch Pit, Smooch Pit for my book. So if I don't do that live, I don't know what I'm going to do for that. That might not even be on the channel. I don't know yet. Well, have a good day. See you in the next one.